Welcome, everybody, to the What Shapes Us podcast. I am your host, Selema Masekela. This podcast is about the incidents and accidents that shape us into human beings. I get to have incredible conversations with truly dynamic human beings that I have a lot of respect for. And today, we have outkicked the coverage. We are punching way above our stature as we welcome two-time Olympic gold medalist, 8-time X Games gold medalist, easily one of the most famous ambassadors of the sport of snowboarding on the planet. She also has her toes in fashion. You can find her on runways, front row at the shows. You never know. She's an incredible singer. She's a dope human being, and her name is Chloe Kim. What part was funny?
You just gassed me up so crazy.
That's my job. When you come on the What Shapes Us podcast, the first thing we do is just pump up your tires.
I love it. I'm gonna call you every time I feel like down about myself.
I can be that person that when you go places, I walk in ahead of time and I'm like, ladies and gentlemen, everyone, she is here. She of the world famous Kims. She is here with us, and then I just give the resi.
Thank you.
And then you walk in.
I think I need that.
And you don't have to say anything because they know.
Perfect.
When I say those things to you in your presence, how do they make you feel? What's the first thing that came up when I was giving the very brief, abridged, that's the short version of your story?
Yeah, I think I always have this, like imposter syndrome. Like I know that I've accomplished all of these things and I know that I've done these things, but it just still doesn't register that that's me. I don't know if that makes sense, but because I just see my life through my own lens and what I do through my own lens. I don't know like other people's perceptions of me. I don't know like other narratives of me. I only know what I know and I kind of go with that. So it's always interesting when I meet someone and they're a fan or like they've seen my work and they, want to talk to me, like get to know me. It's so interesting because to me I'm still a girl that likes snowboarding and a girl that loves coming home to Southern California and like hanging out with her friends, going shopping, going hiking. Like that's who I am and that's what I love to do. And it's kind of crazy that I became really good at something that ended up becoming my job and like my career.
Yeah, your job and your career that also the whole world ends up taking an interest in. Because snowboarding is, in the big scheme of things, a very small sport.
Yeah.
But through your journey and those set accomplishments, at a certain point, you transcended the sport in which, yes, snowboarders cared about you, but then the world was like, yeah, we're interested in this Chloe Kim person. And that's got to be a trip.
It is a trip. It really is a trip. And I think that I feel like I'm just going to be kind of vague about this unintentionally, but basically I started snowboarding because my dad wanted to try it. So the way I was introduced to the sport, there's like no prior knowledge of the sport, like any history of the sport. Kind of just went in and my dad and I learned together.
How old?
I was 4. And my dad kind of traveled with me every time I went somewhere to like do a competition or whatever. So my view of like snowboarding was still very small because, like I'm just training and like learning tricks because it wasn't like the goal wasn't like, okay, this is a cool activity for her to do. It's like, we're going to the Olympics. Like this was like a dream because my dad saw that I had this potential and I enjoyed it. But I think I always kind of saw it through his lens because I was so little and like young and like that's what I saw it as,
That's really interesting.
But the thing is though, like I had a lot of fun learning tricks. Like I had a lot of fun, like, because I did slopestyle till I was 15. I don't know if you know that, but I really enjoyed just like doing tricks and like doing runs and competing. That was something that I really liked. And it's kind of crazy though, because by the time I was 12, 13, I had basically like, gone pro at this point. Like I was podiuming at everything by the time I was 13. Like I won my first X Games gold at 14, like qualified for the Olympics. Like it all happened so fast that I went into snowboarding like with this competition Olympics mentality, and like I'm still there,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
No, that makes perfect sense.
So it's pretty interesting to me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to back it up a little bit. Your parents immigrated here from South Korea.
Yes.
And they ended up in Long Beach, right? Or Torrance.
I honestly don't know. So my first home I remember living in was in Cypress.
Okay.
In OC.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Orange County.
Orange County, love OC. I actually think I was literally like born in Long Beach, like at the hospital in Long Beach, and then
down
Cypress.
to the Bro Sea.
Yeah.
Why did your parents leave South Korea?
I honestly don't know. Like I don't know too much. I know that my dad there was like some weird family stuff that happened. Like his mom had passed when my dad was like in his late 20s, I think. So I think my dad just wanted to start over somewhere clean, somewhere fresh. There's the thing about Asian families and Asian culture. I feel like adults are very secretive about their lives and their pasts. So you kind of grow up knowing your parents, but you don't really know them. And even now, my parents will just like drop a little story on me, and
you're like, what?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like one of my favorite stories that my dad tells me is my dad grew up like wealthy. And then there's this whole gambling war that that happened.
That's cool.
From his parents that just like kind of ruined it for everyone. But before that, my dad grew up like very wealthy, very comfortably. And so in South Korea back then was a very like poor country. So having a passport was a big deal. Like if you had a passport, that was like, like having the nicest car on the lot.
Yeah, that was like a Rolls Royce.
Big flex.
Right.
So my dad would take his passport to the club and drop it in front of him.
That was his Riz game?
Yes.
No.
And I remember him telling me this, my jaw was on the floor. I was like, there is no way that you're my dad.
Wow.
And that's like your past. So again, I wish I knew more about them, because like the little snippets that I do here are quite hilarious.
That's amazing. Dad in the club.
Yeah.
Posting up. Oh, she's cute. Oh, excuse me.
Sorry. Oops.
Oh, did I drop that?
Yeah. Right.
I'm global.
Yep.
Do you want to hang out? Shout out to your dad. I'm taking my passport to the club.
Yeah. My mom, on the other hand, though, did not grow up wealthy at all. In fact, she was on the complete other side of the spectrum. But my mom is genuinely the kindest, like most giving person I know, and she deserves the world. Like I spoil her as much as I can.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Your dad, he sees snowboarding. He's curious about it. Takes his daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember your first touch points with snowboarding?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I do, but I don't know if it's reality or not. I was 4. But I do know that we went a lot. And I started in Mountain High, just about like an hour and a half away from LA. And that's where I learned. And I think in the beginning for us, it was more just fun. So we'd go once in a while.
So there was a recreational.
There was in the beginning, though.
Yeah.
You also have to understand, like, I didn't grow up with money. Like, my parents, it very much so the immigrant story. Like, Mountain High, I think a season pass was like $50 or something at the time. And the reason why he wanted to try snowboarding was because he tried skiing also at Mountain High, and was so uncomfortable in the boots. And then he actually saw a snowboarder walking across the parking lot.
Like a regular human.
And then getting in his car and driving away in his
boots.
In his boots.
Yeah.
And he was like, wow.
He's like, I want that.
And one thing about my dad is he's a very efficient man. So he sees that. He's like, that's efficient. That's comfortable. You can do that wherever, whenever you want. You could just drive away in your boots. You could do whatever you want. So like, I'm going to try that. So that's how snowboarding became a topic of conversation. So I would go once in a while with my dad. And one time I went, and like the mountain high team coach saw me. I was like, oh, she's good. Like, she turns, like,
She's got it.
she's got something.
Excuse me, sir. Is that your child?
Yeah, exactly.
She's got the stuff.
Like, she's so little. And my dad obviously was like, oh no, like, she's not gonna do this for real. But he thought about it. He enjoyed snowboarding. Like, he liked doing it, and he like, what, let's see what this man has to offer, because it was something that he still wanted to do with me, like, continue doing. Turns out, if I joined the team, it was like, I think it was like a couple hundred a season or something, and it included the season pass, and it also obviously came with coaching on the weekends. So he's getting a lot of bang for his buck. So he's like, hell yeah, we'll join the
There's a
team.
whole lot of efficiency.
He's a very efficient man.
Whole lot of efficiency here. He's like, yes, more of this.
Absolutely, because he also wanted to look into like coaching for me just so I could be a little better. It's like, again, it's really expensive to get a private coach. And so we did the team instead. So I started the team, and obviously being on the team meant that I was going the more like freestyle route and started doing like little USASA competitions, and I started doing really well. And that's what
USASA is the U.S. Amateur
Yes.
Ski and Snowboard Association. For those of you who are not of the culture,
Right.
watching and listening.
That's what I did, and I started doing really well. And my dad was like, she's going to the Olympics. We're training. We're training.
At how old did he sort of point the direction towards the Olympics for you?
When I was, I think the idea started when I was 6, so I started training more with the team to do better in my USASA competitions. And then it became even more intense when I was like 8. Because when I was 8, so I moved to Switzerland when I was 8. I lived there with my aunt, and my dad would come and like take me snowboarding during the winters. And again, another efficient thing was my mom worked for Korean Air at the time.
Let's go.
So we got really, really cheap standby tickets. So honestly, until I signed my first big like sponsored contract, I was flying standby to everything, which is very humbling sometimes. I think by the time I was like 13, I like actually had a ticket.
Like, wait, we don't have to. We're actually on the plane. Like,
Yeah.
we're good.
Oh, like I remember after winning the Burton European Open like junior jam when I was 9, I sat and slept in the airport for 3 days because I couldn't get a flight home on a standby ticket, and like competing on rental snowboards because like my snowboard for the season broke. Like,
wow,
crazy. Yeah.
Do you remember having like a love for it at that young age?
I'm gonna be honest, I don't think I really did, because it wasn't something that I really understood, and I didn't know what I was doing, Like, I couldn't see it from an adult point of view. It wasn't something that I gravitated towards naturally, but it brought more, like, it just kept bringing more pains in the ass, Like, my dad has an engineering mind. He, like, was an engineer, a mechanic, like, all these things, so he's very well acquainted with physics and things of that sorts, like science.
So you're getting snowboarding coaching, and then you're getting dad's like engineering mind coaching.
Yeah. And dad is actually like primary coach. And dad, he's now like, okay, if she wants to be a better snowboarder, but we can't snowboard during the summer, so like we're gonna have her skateboard. And then when I started getting like better on a snowboard and started hitting jumps and like going through the half pipe, it was like, okay, she needs to work on her air awareness. So I'm putting her in diving. Mind you, I don't like any of these things. But I'm like skateboarding, because skateboarding hurts. Like, I have very clumsy ankles, so I would always like roll my ankles and I'd always hurt myself, and I'm getting splinters. And the truth is like I just want to vibe during the summer with my friends, I want to just like chill, like go do whatever kids do, but I was kind of grinding since I was little. So yeah, no, I think it kind of made me dislike it in the very beginning, 'cause I'm like, what the hell is this? And to be honest, I didn't start enjoying it until I saw I was rewarded for it. 'Cause I'm working like 4 times as hard as, a lot of kids might.
Yeah, you're showing up to the USASA on like with a pro development mindset that is being instilled in you, while the other kids are like, where's the juice pack? Oh, is it my turn?
Yeah, and it's funny now because a lot of kids are on my program now.
Right.
But me back then, that was kind of just me and my program and my dad. But I understand now as I get older, like I did resent my dad for a while because of this, but I understand now because turns out if I didn't start making money by the time I was like 13, they were going to pull me out of the sport entirely because it was just too expensive.
Wow.
And it just didn't make sense for me to keep.
Because your dad
doing
quit.
it.
Your dad quit his
My
job
dad quit. My dad
to
stopped
support you.
working. So my dad owns like a lot somewhere that he was getting rent from, which he still owns now. But but it wasn't nice. He's not making a bag off of that. And then so we're living off of that and my mom's like salary from working at Korean Air at LAX.
Wow.
So that was like so I had to lock in. Like I couldn't dilly-dally, like I couldn't just like kind of compete and not do well. Like I had to actually do well.
What a trip.
Yeah.
I have so many questions.
Well, yeah,
Go ahead.
sorry. I was just saying, like, I just feel like a lot of people don't know how I really started because these aren't the types of conversations that I typically have. It's always like, oh, like, how did you know that you loved it? And like, how did you? But I don't even think a lot of people in the industry in general, like, know that this is my story and this is how I started.
That's why I wanted to have this conversation.
Yeah.
That's why I hit you in the DMs. And I was so happy that you did say yes.
Yeah.
Because looking, I first came into view of you at your first X Games, which ironically was the year I had just left the X Games.
Mm-hmm.
So I had done X Games for 13 years. I left to go and work at Rebel on their signature series, but I still watched. And I saw this 13-year-old girl taking it to Kelly Clark. But I saw your air awareness at 13 and how big you were going, and it was your comfort. Because I've been in the sport since the 90s. So I'm just looking at your comfort in the air, and I'm like, where did she come from? And how did she get this comfortable? It wasn't like, because there were plenty of kids who ripped, but you were chilling way above the lip with a power that you're not supposed to have at that age. And I was like, oh, this kid is serious. But also, how did this happen? And for you to now tell me that Pops's engineering brain was like, all right, skateboarding, we need transition, so we'll get her in the half pipe and rolling around on a skateboard, rolling her ankles away. And then air awareness, let's get her on the springboard diving, which is terrifying. Like, if you don't dive, like, you're up there for a while before you.
And I want to just, preface this real quick by saying my dad did it. It wasn't like the intention wasn't for me to get into super intense diving, but I think I am just more of an athletic person. So what actually ended up happening was I just went to whatever communal pool that offered diving lessons, and I did it like twice, and it was a joke,
Yeah.
I'm not even on the diving board for just like plopping into the water.
I just love that was his mindset, was like air awareness, transition.
Yeah.
And it makes these two things together.
Totally. And actually the instructor for that little like communal diving lesson thought I was really good. So she was like, hey, you should come join us and like join our team, which was a more intense, like it was a real team. And I joined this diving team and it got really intense again, which pissed me off because my first diving lesson was an hour long. Now I'm in deep dive, 4 hours.
Right.
4 hours 3 times a week. 2 hours dry land where I'm jumping on diving boards into a mat and like doing trampoline training. And then 2 hours in the pool. And I'm doing this for snowboarding obviously I'm gonna be pissed. That's like my whole day. And I don't have time to nap in between.
And I'm a kid.
Yeah, and I'm going to school before.
Oh yeah, that's right. You're getting an education.
Yeah.
But hearing this story from you, it makes perfect sense. Your dad kind of was he was a genius.
Yeah.
I mean, it sucked as a kid, but what you were sort of being set up for, yeah, it makes perfect sense that you looked as cool and chill as you did in the air. Now yeah, of course.
And it was so funny because, I did some of like the Burton Opens here and there, trying to make it through. I think the first time I tried was, I think I was 12, and it was the Burton New Zealand Open when it was over at Snow Park. I didn't make it very far. And then like later that season at the Open, I think I like made it to semis and that was it. And then the next year, suddenly in New Zealand, it just clicked. Like I was going, I wasn't going that big when I was 12. I was like going like maybe 3 feet out. When I turned 13, and then that August, for New Zealand Open, I got second, which was so crazy. But that's when I like got my amplitude, because I wasn't doing crazy spins. I wasn't doing tens. Like my run when I was 13 was like method 5, McTwist 7-7 maybe.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was.
But that method that you did was like you were shot out of a cannon.
Yeah.
It took snowboarding. It was like, oh, she's up there and she's like, hi, just waving at people like, oh, I'll come down now. You didn't need to have all the spins.
No.
It was the awareness. It was the style, the tricks that you had. You looked like you had been doing them forever.
Yeah.
Do you remember how the veterans greeted you when at 13 when you suddenly showed up and you're like, I'm not just kid who wasn't qualifying, but I'm now here to compete against you?
Yeah, I mean, everyone was so good and like kind to me once I made it like to a certain point. Like Kelly, always a real one.
Kelly Clark. Shout out Kelly Clark.
Love Kelly Clark. I'm thinking like Caitlin Farrington, Maddie Shaffrick, Ellie Hollingsworth, Gretchen Bleiler,
Yeah.
Elena Height. Like everyone was really chill. But I think for me, I was so young too. Like I got on the Ricky team when I was 13, like the US team.
Yeah.
Ricky team when I was 13, and I basically had qualified for the pro team halfway through that season. So by the time I was like, 13 and a half, I was on the pro team, and I'm with like all these adults, and I felt out of place. And we're going to very like predominantly white areas. So for me, I always felt like uncomfortable. I also got Instagram when I was 13, and I'm getting like bullied.
Yeah, you when I remember first reading about the heat and the disgusting things that people would say to you in your DMs and in your comments when you especially when you started winning. And just straight up racist, highlighting you literally like you taking medals away from American white girls.
Right. So it's like I'm dealing with that, and that's like my deep, dark, secret inner battle. Like I would never let anyone see that I was going through stuff like that because I didn't even know how to have that conversation.
What was it like to go through that?
It sucks. It sucks because you're seeing like people who are doing well like get so much love and like so much praise and all of that, and like yeah, I definitely got love for doing well, but I also got a lot of hate on something that I literally can't change about myself, and like something that I basically like was forced to hate because I thought I was disgusting for like looking the way I did and like being the way that I am.
So it sounds like you started having and this, you're going through this as a kid anyway, no matter what. You're having identity issues and
Totally.
comparison issues.
Yeah.
But you're having identity issues with your own skin and race.
Totally. And I think growing up, I always felt like I wouldn't say I knew exactly that it was like microaggressions and this and that growing up, but like, there definitely been comments that have been made about me, even face to face as I interact with society as a kid, where I'm like, oh, that felt kind of weird, but I don't know what that is. But like that,
Oh, I didn't know you. I didn't know you people did this.
and it actually got to the point, I think I was like 16, I hated winning. I didn't want to. And I know this is gonna sound so crazy and like silly and I don't know, maybe I might sound arrogant, but trust it's not I'm not trying to, but it's like I'm always gonna go and do the run that I'm supposed to do. Like at the end of the day, I became kind of like the breadwinner in my family at 13. I like signed a big contract. Like now we were a lot more comfortable traveling. Like we don't have to fly standby anymore. There are like a lot of things that changed. And so I'm having all these amazing sponsors like support me on this journey and like support, my mom was able to quit working when I was 15. So there's still like a incentive for me to do well, but God, did I hate it. Cause like I knew every time I won, like people near me would start hating me, like so much drama always. Like so many people have so many things to say about me after like supporting me when I first came on the scene. Like I don't really care anymore and it doesn't bother me enough for me to like really get into it, but I just think it got to a point where I didn't understand why people kind of started turning on me. And I was severely depressed because of that, because I'm also battling like a lot of racism and like a lot of stuff in my own personal life. And then to feel like the community that I felt so close to started turning on me, it like honestly led me to a deep, deep spiral. And it kind of made me like, the love that I ended up finding for the sport like started to go away. So it's kind of like I'm still pretty back and forth with it if I'm being completely transparent. I love what I get to do. I love competing. I love learning tricks. Like I love all of that. And I'm finding my community again, which I also love. And yeah. So it feels good. I feel like I'm in the best place I've been right now.
I appreciate you sharing and being honest about that, because I don't think people understand what it's like in a society like these very, very complicated United States, where whether you like it or not, this place is built by the rules of white supremacy. It's not written out on walls and rooms when you walk into what those rules are.
Yeah.
But they guide and govern. And when you are an only, as you and I are, in a sport that you fall in love with this thing, it's giving you so much, but you rarely get to stand in reflection. In other words, you don't see other people who look like you, who have the tangible experiences that you do. The other people who do it, the white kids who do it, just assume that your life is the same.
Yeah.
That you're experiencing it in the same way that they are. And then what happens is when you do start to voice like, hey, here's some of these really things that take place when I show up in this thing that I do for joy. And they're like, no way. But that's not everybody. And it's all these things to deflect because they can't begin to comprehend it.
And I will say, I think that's why I went to school. Because I think that year I went to college.
Princeton. Let's. This is not, no offense to people who are going to junior college or anything, but this woman did not just go to school. That's why I went to Princeton with a hard P, because not only am I world class on a snowboard, I'm smart. And I got into Princeton.
Okay, thank you.
I can say it. You don't have to say it. I could say it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So when I went to school, I really needed it. I think I was just so tired because honestly, I was getting hate for like winning the Open, X Games, blah, blah, blah. To top it all off, I'm winning the Olympics.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right.
I'm
done.
For context, you go to South Korea.
Yeah.
That's where your family's from.
Yeah, that honestly was like picture perfect.
This is 2018.
Yeah.
You go to South Korea, like you have this immigration story of your parents, dad in the club, passport, daughter comes back full circle, win the gold medal on the soil from which you come from.
Mm-hmm. It was honestly insane. Like, it was so crazy. I always knew I was a very lucky person, and I think things have just worked out for me in those types of ways. But when I first started snowboarding, like, my dad didn't think that my first Olympics would ever be in Korea. Ever. Like, no one ever thought that. And honestly, Korea could have been my second Olympics if there wasn't an age restriction.
Yeah, that's right, because you qualified at 14.
I qualified for Sochi.
For Sochi, I was there in Sochi, in Russia, and they were like, "Sorry, you're really good, but you're too young.
Too young. Yep.
So you can't." But congrats on being good enough.
Yeah.
You just can't be here.
Yeah, but I'm so glad that happened, because not only did my first Olympics get to be in South Korea, but like, I was confident because I already made that team, and I knew what that process was going to be like, and I went in unafraid, not nervous, like ready to go. I knew what I needed to do, and won that thing on my first run, up to my score on the third.
Sure did.
And then it's like, boom, my life changed entirely, because, now I'm going to Chipotle and people recognize me. I'm trying to just get a bowl,
So I'm just here for the bowl.
It's
not just snowboarders now.
Yeah, everywhere I went, I was just getting stopped. I was getting recognized. And a lot of these interactions I was having post-Olympics were very positive, but there's still a part of me that's very guarded, because like, strangers have very much hurt my feelings. Like, when I won my first X Games medal, I cried myself to sleep that night because of the amount of hate I got, and the amount of just like vile comments that I got to see be made of me for no reason. Like, on my own page, on like X Games' posts, like my DMs, like my parent, like all of this stuff. It was just horrible for me.
How did you deal with what kind of self-care? Or
I didn't. I bottled that shit right up for years and years and years and years and years, and I didn't tell anybody about any of it. I mean, I told my parents, and they're like, "Oh, they're just jealous. It's okay." But it's like, they're Korean, Korean culture. They don't really understand it, and it's hard to like feel other people's shit sometimes.
Yeah,
it hurts. It really hurts, because I'm putting myself out there too,
and you're young,
and I'm a baby. Like, yeah. But anyhow, because like the Olympics, it just got really bad, and I had such bad anxiety. So like, I actually holed up in my house for 2 months.
After the Olympics.
Like, I had to do all the press stuff and whatnot, which was really cool. But like, the minute I was released and free, I just did not leave. Like, I was ordering Uber Eats every single day.
You're receiving all this stuff, and you're being bullied and digitally abused, yet you're still figuring out a way to perform at the highest level. What do you think drove you to still be like, all right, well, it?
Well, I think it was all fueled by, honestly, like, self-hatred, which is crazy. But let's talk about it. It got to a point where I like hated myself. And for me, that allowed me to channel fearlessness and just go for it. Because it got to a point where like, I didn't care if I got hurt. Like, I didn't care about the consequences of my actions. So I just like would go. And it's like, okay, I'm gonna try a double cork on snow without the airbag. I'm gonna try like a 1260 with no awareness on what to look for, and like, I'm just gonna go. And I think genuinely that allowed me to not feel fear. And now that I've like I'm on this self-care journey, like mental health, now it's kind of cool because I unlocked this skill where I like just don't feel fear anymore. But it stemmed from this self-hatred. But now it's like something that I can keep without the hatred, It's like, that's really cool. I just go and try stuff, and I know that I'll probably be okay. As opposed to before, it was like, I'm gonna try this. I don't know what's gonna happen, and I don't care.
I'm to say that I'm proud of you would be an understatement. Like I sit and I listen, I hear this, and I'm in awe of you, honestly,
Thank you.
because it was very easy from a press standpoint when you decided to go to Princeton. It was like, oh my God, like, and on top of it, she's choosing to fly in the face of her talent and now just lean into academia. And what a great example.
Yeah.
And you're battling identity and existence at the highest level at that point.
Yeah, it's not easy. I mean, I always tell people this, but I've been working since I was 6. I had a full-time job since I was 6. And I'm still doing the same job. And like, I wish I had this mindset when I was 16, like when everyone was hating on me, because I'm like, you'd get a raise when you're 10 years into a job. You'd get promoted, at least. You know, that's what's happening for me. I deserve this. Now I am cocky with it. Like, I'm not going to be humble. I'm not going to sit there and shy away from all the things I've achieved because it makes someone else feel better about themselves. Like, screw that. I worked my ass off. And also, like, I don't care if I'm not doing it the way that you want me to. Like, I'm doing it my way, the way that I feel comfortable with doing so. And like, that's that. Like, that's okay. Like, I think I had to learn that I could truly live my life the way I wanted to, unapologetically, because like, I'm never going to make everyone happy. And I respect everyone else's work. My work deserves to be respected too. And honestly, this past season, I've been so freaking proud of myself.
I think there was a certain point last year I commented on your Instagram. I said, I'm here for, I forgot what I said. I said, I'm here for unplugged. I didn't say but like essentially zero given clothing.
Yeah.
Because there was a definitive shift in how you started showing up. Like, you were really good at doing the posts of like, yay and hey. And now to have this conversation, what lay beneath all that was a big battle and a lot of turmoil in the midst of perceived success and all the achievements that anyone would wish, but you were going through it. But then at a certain point, I remember the way you were looking at the camera and you just started being like, this is me.
Yeah.
Mask off. Y'all with me, cool. If not, but this is me.
Yeah.
And watching that, especially in this last year, that takes an immense amount of stones. But I started smiling. I was like, oh, she's found. She doesn't care about what anyone thinks, and she's gonna be unapologetic. I saw it at X Games this year, especially where you're just like, yeah, I'm not here just to have fun. I'm here to do my job. My job is to win. Also, I've had fun. Deuces.
Yeah.
I'm getting on with my life.
Yeah. 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 I think I was just sick of being this person I wasn't. And I think that's what I realized was like, I have such amazing people in my life outside of the sport. And I definitely have an amazing community within the sport. And I'm like, all these people that I love and adore don't know this persona I'm putting on, for like this front I'm putting on. Like, they don't know that person, but they know the real me. And I know the real me is hilarious, because the real me like makes friends, and the real me is like so unapologetically herself. Like, I'm brutally honest. Like, I'm just a completely different person, and I wasn't showing the people that supported me that side of me, and that rubs me the wrong way. And I'm sure a lot of this has to do with my frontal lobe like slowly fully developing, which I think now it has at 25. But I think I was just so anxious, and it was so suffocating, like trying to be perfect for everybody, trying to be like PG-13 for the kids that might follow my career, and like for the parents, and like all this stuff, and then like also like feel cool to like my friends and like my peers, but also like seem educated because I'm like I went to an Ivy League school. Like I don't know. I'm a kid, like I'm still a kid, and I have been handed very big adult responsibilities at a young age. And to be honest, I didn't have time to play. Like I didn't go on vacations. Like I didn't like really play until I went to college. And then COVID happened. And then like now I feel like I'm finding a little bit of balance, but damn, I've been a professional snowboarder for 12 years now.
And you're 25.
And I'm 25. And like now I'm figuring this out. Like that sucks. And it also sucks because the sport has changed so much. And now like I actually need to grind.
Yeah.
It is a grind. Like all people are doing is training now. Like all we do is train. And I'm accustomed to that, which is cool. So I think I'm excited to, maybe like when I'm slowing down from all this competition stuff, I could just go and have fun.
Do you think that you'll be a for fun snowboarder? Like when you're done, like will you be like, all right, I want to go on a backcountry trip and go chase powder and see what that experience is like?
I hope so. But I also understand that it'll take time.
Yeah.
And I think I need to go on a break.
Yeah.
And like have a completely, just like live my life without it. Live my life without like going into the cold. I actually don't like the cold.
What?
Yeah. I hate the cold.
I love it.
I really don't like it.
Maybe that's why you win so much.
Maybe I'm
Because you're just like, get me the out of here.
No, literally.
How do I get to the place where they give me the thing around my neck?
No, you don't understand. When we landed in Aspen and that door opened, of course my bougie ass wanted to sit like front row, like first seat. Yeah. That door opened and I was like, I wish I was in the back.
Turn the plane around.
I had like a cute little like sweater on with leggings. -5 degrees. I was so pissed.
Well, everyone should hate the environment that they flourish in, like you do, because then everybody would just be killing it in life.
Yep, I think so. Yep, highly recommend That Works.
All right, then we got the secret sauce at the end. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, Chloe Kim, for being a guest here today on What Shapes Us. Everything I could have hoped for, but times 10,000.
And thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate that. And I think that's why I was so willing to come and do this, because I know I trust you and I know you, and I just know that you'd see me and like see the side of my story. So it's all actually kudos to you.
That means a lot. That means a lot. I just wanted to get it right and hope that you felt seen in a way and heard, that you could feel like this is a safe space to speak. So thank you.
Of course. Thanks for having me.